Hello! We have 2 stories today, and our first asks if it's ever a good idea to get into business with family. Oh wait, I feel like this has been asked and answered, perhaps even for time immemorial. Oh right, it's actually a horrible idea and everyone knows it. Although, I guess I have to ask, have you ever rented to a relative and not had it blow up in your face? Well, our story starts with the Property Brothers, which coincidentally is a Canadian realty show about twins who renovate homes. But in our story, one brother has them all, and the other one has diddly, except his handout. As expected, their relationship became hotter than the faulty water heater, leaving one brother calling foul, and this story more like an episode of Family Feud than Property Brothers. Story 1. Short and simple, I think. A few years ago, my brother needed help. I let him move into one of my rental properties, and we did it all legal. Lease agreement and everything. Because I was renting to him at a break-even point, we agreed that he was responsible for all the maintenance of the house and the yard. Well, he has 4 kids, and the hot water tank isn't enough for his family and he wants a new one. I told him to go ahead. He then proceeded to take the cost of the hot water tank and installation off that month's rent. I reminded him of our agreement. He said he wasn't making improvements to my property for free. I said that the old hot water tank was fine, and he made the decision to replace it. Big argument, and I didn't want to fight, so I said that he was not allowed to make any further changes to the house without my explicit agreement. So he stopped doing maintenance as a protest. The house itself is not pretty, but it is solid. It is old, and the wiring in it was not meant for all the modern electronics we have. He wanted to add a new breaker box and run more outlets. I said no thanks. I cannot afford that since I'm not making any money on the house. He started complaining about it, and the rent started getting paid late. I tried talking to him, but he said that he had to buy some stuff for the house and he was low on cash. So I sold the house. While the house itself isn't great, it is in an older part of the city and the property itself is 1/4 of an acre. Every time a house sells in the neighborhood, it is snapped up by developers and turned into multifamily units. Or one guy built a McMansion on his land. I know a lot of the developers, and I didn't even need to list the house to have it sold in less than a week. My brother found out when he was served with an eviction notice. He called me to ask, "What the fork?" So I told him that the house was causing me headaches. So I had an opportunity to make some money, and I took it. He said I should have offered him a chance to buy it. I said that he was having trouble making rent. How was he going to qualify for a mortgage? He said I'm a jerk and that he has the money. He was waiting to make me an offer. I asked him if he had the money. Why was he late on his rent? He started badmouthing me to all our family. A few of them took his side and tried to say I was being a jerk. So I offered all of them a chance to clear his debt to me if they wanted to share their opinion. None of them took me up on the offer. My parents are on my side, and they said I shouldn't have rented to him in the first place. I feel bad for my sister-in-law and the kids, but I'm not going to spend the rest of my life subsidizing his. In the comments, Timely asked, "Not the jerk. Why should you lose money to help him out? It was good of you to rent to him at a discount, and he dumped on you for your hospitality. You can feel bad for your sister-in-law and nibblings, but they are not your responsibility." OP replied, "I wish he hadn't tried to play silly buggers. His kids love the yard." Tofu Dadwagon said, "Everyone sucks here. You of course have the legal right to do what you did. Turning your brother's family out on the street with no advance notice is one of those things that makes you the jerk even if you are legally in the right. He should have stuck with the agreement or renegotiated a standard agreement with standard improvements and higher rent." Many Hamsters 123 said, "You're the jerk because you didn't even tell him you'd sold the house. You got mad at your brother and took it out on his whole family? Also, you're a landlord, so you're a jerk by default. And the comments about not wanting to modernize the electrical and water tank in your old property makes you sound like you operate in the slumlord end of the market." I'm going to go with everyone sucks here, but only because it is the worst idea to mix financial things, business, rent, whatever, with family, especially between siblings, and especially when one is more well off than the other. I mean, how can anyone not see where things will land? I think the comments are a bit harsh too. OP didn't say he wouldn't repair or upgrade ever. He just said he wouldn't while his brother was renting, because it was a break-even situation. And that wasn't even enough for the brother. This is like a Plinko board with big fat zeros in each hole. No matter where that little bouncing puck lands, you lose. Our second story has a young woman who gets a big windfall and has her boyfriend licking his chops. Or is he just a family man, a hero called to action looking to help a child in need? We find out in our next story when OP asks for judgment and advice after looking like she was about to be stuck with a family plan she didn't sign up for. Story 2. I'm a 23-year-old female, and I inherited my grandparents' house and land last year. I'd rather have my grandparents back, but at least I'm set up with a good place to live out of college. I don't have to worry about housing like a lot of my friends. I've been seeing my boyfriend Adam, 24-year-old male, for a year and a half, and we've been planning to move in together this summer. He would be moving to my place. Right now, he lives in an apartment with 3 roommates. Adam has an older brother that is kind of a piece of crap. He and his girlfriend are addicts and have been involved in shady stuff in the past, so Adam only talks to them at holidays usually. They have a 5-year-old son that Adam sends birthday cards and gifts to, but hasn't spent a whole lot of time around because of the family drama. A couple of weeks ago, the worst happened and the girlfriend died, and Adam's brother is going to be in jail probably for a very long time. Adam's mom is disabled and not in good enough health to keep up with the 5-year-old full-time. Girlfriend's family apparently disowned her and wants nothing to do with it. That leaves Adam as a guardian for the kid, or foster care. I am not a kid person. I don't dislike kids, but I had my own messed up childhood and I would not be a good parent or be able to deal with the noise and chaos of a small kid easily. Adam knows this as we've had the what if there's an oops and future planning conversations. So I was surprised when Adam asked about moving plans up for us to live together so that he would have space to take in his nephew. I said I wasn't okay with him bringing his nephew, and that since the situation had changed, the plan would have to be put off until something was figured out. He said there's no room for his nephew at his current place and rent is sky high, so he wouldn't be able to afford a new place on his own. My place has plenty of room and would be perfect. And this is literally the difference between his nephew staying with family and going who knows where. We argued, and his mom has been calling me to beg me to let them stay with me for a while until they can make other arrangements. I have a feeling that a little while would turn into permanently once the kid got comfortable. Mutual friends have been telling me I'd be a jerk for not helping Adam, at least temporarily, because I'm lucky to have the space. Though I really don't want my space invaded like that and have to deal with kicking them out eventually if nothing else comes up. Some relevant comments. People point out this is probably the end of the relationship. Yeah, sadly it probably is. I'd be happy to continue dating seriously without living together. It would still be a year or 2 before I'd feel comfortable getting engaged and married, and that's plenty of time to work on a solution. However, if it's now or bust, I'm going to have to pick bust. Feeling pressured into things is a big deal for me. More about why she would be willing to live separately for a few years when a kid is a longer commitment. I'd be okay with being in a permanent relationship with someone I didn't live with, so maybe a solution is we stay together and live separately until the kid is grown up. That would work for me. I'm pretty self-sufficient and I don't need a live-in partner to be happy, I think. I also have a feeling this guardian situation isn't going to last. Adam doesn't strike me as the kind of person right now to take on a traumatized little kid and all the stuff that goes with it. I'd give it 3 months for the panic to wear off and the reality sets in for him to realize how much it's going to change his life in ways he can't deal with. Maybe I'll be surprised, but Adam is one of those people that kinda needs to start with keeping a houseplant alive first. Didn't he already take in his nephew? I mean, technically he hasn't yet. He needs a stable place to live that meets CPS basic requirements before they turn the kid over to him, so the kid is living in a temporary foster home right now. More about why she thinks he would not be a good fit for his nephew. We've been friends for a while before we started dating. He's never taken care of a kid, never even had a pet. He's a good guy, but he's a dude in his early 20s that hasn't had a whole lot of responsibility or tie-downs until now. Part of the reason that I want to ease into living together and thinking about marriage over a few years is that I grew up in an unstable environment with unstable people. I was in foster care for a while, and I want to make sure he can settle and stabilize. I don't think he completely understands what's going to happen when the back pats stop and he has to deal with actually having a kid. I'm not dumping on him, but as someone who was a child in a similar need, I know that well-intentioned people like Adam often make it worse. Not every desire to step up is followed by a capacity to adequately step up without screwing up the kid even worse. If he can't hack it, it's the kid that's going to suffer the majority of the fallout. So I don't really think Adam is thinking of what's really best for the kid. At least as much as he doesn't want to think he's a bad person for refusing to take on the kid. Foster care isn't the worst thing that can happen here. He can still be involved in the kid's life even if the kid is in foster care right now and can possibly take on custody in the future when he's actually able to house and care for the kid. The kid is in foster care right now, so he would have to get himself together just to be eligible. Why can't boyfriend's mom take the nephew in? No space. She lives in a one-bedroom condo, and I think there's something with her disability that it would affect her status. At least if someone earning a full paycheck was living with her, but I'm not 100% sure on that part. Can boyfriend move into his brother and sister-in-law's house? Without getting into the messy details too much, no. Nobody is going to be living there ever again. More about the house. This house is the only safe place I had growing up. I really don't want to move out of it. It's one of the few places I feel completely at ease. I know I'm safe here and no one can kick me out, get rid of me, or treat me badly in my own house. I'm sorry for the kid, but I'm not willing to give that up. I doubt Adam would be able to afford the rent since I couldn't charge him less than what it would take to get me a place to live somewhere else, so it's the same problem. Let them stay for a bit? It's a lot bigger deal than that. Even with a lease, if Adam can't find somewhere and refuses to go, I would have to give them 30 days notice to move before starting eviction. That would take at minimum like 30 days beyond that. So then I'm stuck for at least an extra month or two with two people in my house that I don't want there. One, an angry ex, the other, an already traumatized kid who will be taken back by CPS anyway if Adam is evicted with no place to go. The kid doesn't need to be exposed to any more adults fighting and instability. This is one reason why it's obvious to me that Adam isn't ready to parent this kid. He doesn't have a plan that doesn't involve other people doing most of it for him. First update. Well, decision made. I broke up with him last night. Reading all the responses made me realize that I don't actually want him to move in with or without his nephew at this point. He did not take it well at all, but probably another reason this wasn't going to work in the end. Hopefully, he and his mom can figure something out together. Update 2. A small update for this. Some of you guys were totally right about his intentions. He dropped the idea of taking his nephew in a few days after I broke up with him and called from a mutual friend's phone to ask me to take him back. I asked him why he wasn't going to take in his nephew, and he said it would be too hard to do alone. So, looks like he was expecting me to help him with the kid all along instead of just letting them stay for a while. Without a free place to live and a built-in helper, he's not interested. I did not take him back. I think the breakup was the best thing that could have happened. I feel a lot better without him in my life. Thanks for the advice. In the comments, Pleasant Matter jabbed, "You help your family when they need it. Sounds like when things are uncomfortable, the OP runs." OP replied, "My now ex wasn't my family. That's a super high bar of connection we hadn't gotten to yet. It would have been at least another year or two before I would have considered him a permanent fixture. His nephew isn't my family by extension. I'm on board with him helping his family though, just not at my expense." Natural Summer said, "Everyone is an experience the first time they become a parent. Literally everyone. Also, even if you're on your fourth kid, you're inexperienced because you've never raised that specific child, and every child is wildly different with varying needs." OP replied, "Most people who have kids have experience caring for someone else before. Adam is the baby in his family. He's always been taken care of and never had to take responsibility for anyone else before, even down to an animal. He doesn't even take responsibility for himself very well, to be honest. I have no idea what I'm doing, but maybe it will work out," is how I ended up in foster care as a kid. This story makes me think of Neo dodging bullets and bending spoons. That's right, folks. I'll squeeze in a Matrix reference wherever I can. Bear with me. Sounds to me like OP had a hard knocks kind of upbringing and doesn't want kids, and even though practically everyone else thinks that she, for some reason, should take on the responsibility of her 20-something-year-old boyfriend's nephew, is not the reason to change her position on this, just because it's the thing that will make her look good by everyone else's standards. Definitely not the jerk. Her awareness of the situation and potential outcomes is super impressive, and this, my friends, is why I think of bending spoons and dodging bullets. Nobody is telling OP how to live her life, and I think she is way better off without this guy. And that's it for today. Until next time, shine bright, Starlight. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.